सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्री गणेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेधसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। शुकासारिखे पूर्णवैराग्यजाचे वसिष्ठापरिज्ञानयोगेश्वराचे कवी वाल्मिकासारिखा मान्य ऐसा नमस्कार माझा तया रामदासा। गणाधीश जो ईश सर्वा गुणांचा मुळारंभ आरंभ तो निर्गुणाचा। नमो शारदा मूळचत्वार वाचा गमो पंथानंतया राघवाचा। जय जय रघुवीर समर्थ। So once again showing the importance of satsanga, Samarth Ramdas Swami says that how our attachment, first the identification with body, mind, intellect which is there, expands itself, and thus we also identify, attach with the world of objects, beings and people, and say that this is mine, this is mine. So from body is me, mind is me, intellect is me, we expand further to these are my people, these are my objects, right? This expansion causes further delusion, and to come out of this delusion is again through satsanga. That is how he connects. He says, as long as you are attached and you are firm on this world of objects, you will never even think about the Supreme Self. But the moment you start thinking about the self, slowly these objects, etc., attachment to them, things, people, everything will slowly start to deteriorate. So, we must do nishchaya, we must determine this self. Bara nishchayo shashvatacha karava. Mane dasa sandeha to visarava. Give up all other kinds of confusion, doubt, etc., and make it firm in your mind that the self, that pure consciousness is my nature and not this body, mind, intellect. In order to do that, make sure that you are using every single moment of your life for reflection on this self. Ghadi ne ghadi sarthakachi dharavi, sada sangati sajjanachi dharavi, and for that have satsanga. This is how he says. Then he gives definition of who is a saint. He says one who can change the thoughts of his mind and make sure that the mind is totally immersed in the self, that is a true saint. Not just by changing the outer clothes can a person become a saint. Not just by changing the place of staying. I was staying at home, now I am staying in ashram, so I am a saint. I have changed my dress. No, by all outer changes, you cannot become saint unless the thoughts of mind are flowing only towards that self. Unless that has happened, no other person can be called as saint. Durasha gune jo nave dainyavana, one who never is suffering, one who is never miserable, that is a saint. Upadhi dehe buddhite vadhavite parisajjana kevi bandhu shakete. This upadhi, this identification, attachment with the body, mind, intellect, etc. will create further and further problems, but not for the saint, only for the ignorant person. And therefore, nase anta ananta santapusava. Therefore, when you meet such a saint, you should ask, you should inquire about that supreme infinite consciousness. Ask about that. Ahankara vistaraha nirasava. Give up this kind of expansion of ego through identification that further goes into attachment. Give up all that. Gune veena nirguna to athavava. Remember that nirguna who is beyond all gunas. Dehe buddhita athavo na athavava. And get rid of this feeling, this thinking that I am body, mind, intellect. That is what you should do. In Shastras it is said, Satsanga leads to Viveka. Binu Satsanga Viveka na hoi. Says Tulsidas ji in Ramcharitmanas. That Satsanga, without Satsanga, Viveka is not possible. Now Satsanga, when I have, that changes into Viveka. What do you mean by Viveka? To clearly distinguish between what is the self and what is not self. So after explaining Satsanga, now he takes the topic to Viveka. And he says, Dehe buddhite jnana bodhe tyajavi. You have to give up the identification with body. How? Through jnana bodha, through identification with the self. Through understanding your oneness with the self, you give up the identification with the body. Viveke taye vastuchi bheti gyavi. Through viveka, through discrimination, meet that supreme self. Tadakara he vritti nahi swabhave manoni sada techi shodhita jave. This vritti, swabhave, by nature it will not come. Why? Because by nature mind is outgoing. That is the nature of the mind. Paranchi khani vyatranat swayambhu. Tasmat parang pashyati na antaratman. All our senses are directed outwards, and therefore mind through these senses will only go to outer world. Naturally mind will only have thoughts of the world. You can't expect that, oh Vedji, just as suddenly some thoughts appear, thoughts of the self also will appear. No, you have to induce those thoughts. Naturally those thoughts will not come to mind. Nahi swabhave. It is not natural to mind. Manoni sada techi shodhita jave. And therefore, you must put effort in finding it, in purifying it. That is what you must do. This is what he has said. We have seen up to verse 170. Now, let us go to the next verse. He continues the topic further of Viveka and see some more points he is telling. See, verse 171. Ase sarasacharate choralese ihi lochani pahata drishya bhase nirabhasa nirgunate akalena ahanta gune kalpita hi kalena. Jai Jai Raghuveer Samartha. Ase sara, that which is the essence, that supreme consciousness Brahman, which is the essence, sachara. Sachara means which is there in everything. Te choralese, it is hidden. Why are you saying it is hidden? Ihi lochani pahata drishya bhase. Because when you start to see it through these eyes, ihi lochani, this physical eye, when you start to see it, drishya bhase, you will only see the outer appearance. Very simple. I always ask this question, what is this? We say this is watch. What is this? This is a mobile. I can show so many other things. We will all see what? We will only see the outer form. We will never answer that what is this? This is Brahman. We will never say this is Brahman. Though there is Brahman in this, though consciousness is there in this, but what eyes can see? Eyes can only see the outer form. Brahman cannot be seen by the eyes. And therefore, though it is there in and through everything, it remains hidden. Nirabhasa nirguna te akalena. It is nirguna, it is without any attributes, without any abhasa, without any appearance. It is nirakara, without any form. And therefore, te akalena, you cannot see it. You cannot see it. This is another very important concept of Vedanta. Anything that can be perceived is not the self. Anything that can be thought of is not the self. Anything that can be understood is not the self. In other words, anything that can become object of senses, mind, and intellect is not the self. Why? Because self is beyond all these. Very beautifully explained in Kenopanishad, where the question only starts, Kene shitam patati preshitam manah, Kena pranah prathamah praiti yuktah. Willed by whom does the I see? Governed by whom does the pranas function? Controlled by whom do the karmendriyas function? And by whose power does the mind and intellect think and understand? And as an answer to that, Upanishad says, Shrotrasya Shrotram, Manaso Manoyat, Vachoha Vacham, Sau Pranasya Pranaha, Chakshusas Chakshuhu, Atimucha Dhiraha, Pretyasmad Lokad, Amrita Bhavanti. That consciousness is ear of the ear, eye of the eye, prana of the prana, mind of the mind, intellect of the intellect. Means what? It is something which is beyond it, but which is making, or because of whose existence these senses, mind and intellect, they are carrying out their own respective functions, their respective activities. It is beyond. To make it further clear, next mantra he says, Upanishad says, Na tatra chakshur gacchati, na vag gacchati, no manaha, na vidmaha, na vijanimaha yatha etad anuvidyat. He says that self, Brahman is one, tatra chakshuhu na gacchati, there the eyes cannot go. Na vag gacchati, the speech cannot reach there. No manaha, mind cannot reach there. Na vidmaha, you can't understand it. And because it is like this, the teacher says of the Upanishad, Na vijanimaha yatha etad anushishyat. Now I am not understanding how to explain it to you. Why? Because it cannot be explained. It cannot be seen. Jnanendriyas cannot go there. It cannot be spoken of. Karmendriyas cannot go there. It cannot be thought of. Mind cannot reach. It cannot be understood. Intellect also cannot go. So what do you want to say about it? He says, Anyadeva tad viditat, atho aviditat adhi. It is different from the known and beyond the unknown. That's the only thing that I can say about it. Whatever you know, this is not that. Whatever you do not know but you can know, this is not that also. Beyond the known and unknown, there are few things that I know of the world, few things I do not know of the world. The self is beyond both. Anyadeva tad viditat, atho aviditat adhi. It is different from the known and beyond the unknown. But Vijji, if it is like this, then how will I know it? Drop all the body, mind, intellect. Drop that ego, that identification that I am body, mind, intellect, and then I will be able to experience it. Not through the mind or the intellect, not through the senses or the pranas or the body, but as a personal self-experience. Not through any other instrument. And that's why it is said now, ahanta gune kalpitahi kalena. It is such that as long as you have this identification, you will not be able to know it. Okay, subtle topic. Now we are coming towards the end. No, the topics are going to become more and more subtle. What is he trying to say? He is telling that supreme Brahman is beyond the body, the senses, the pranas, the mind, intellect. It is beyond all these. And therefore, using these organs, if you try to see, you will not be able to understand or see that Brahman. It's not possible. It is beyond. The only way it can be done is to drop the identification with all these and realize that supreme consciousness as one's own self. Not through the mind or intellect, but know it as the self. Interestingly, the Kenopanishad, after explaining this, goes further in the second chapter where the teacher asks, did you understand? Did you understand what I am telling? And the student says, yes, I have understood it very well. And the teacher says, if you think you have understood well, then you have not understood. Yadi manyase suvedeti dabhramevapi nunam yo vetta brahmano rupam. If you think that you know it well, then you have not known it. Why? Because if you think you know Brahman, you are keeping Brahman apart from you. You are referring to yourself as Jiva, and then you are telling, I know Brahman very well. It cannot be known like this. Anta gune kalpita hi kahena. As long as you are holding on to your ego, as long as you are holding on to your identification with body, mind, intellect, saying that I am this individual self, this Jiva, you cannot know Brahman. Brahman is not an object that can be known. I can know watch, I can know mobile. Like that I can't know Brahman. It's not possible. Brahman is not that kind of object which can be known, which can be perceived, which can be thought of, which can be understood. And therefore, what? Drop this identification and you will be able to realize that Brahman. Vedji, I have one question. Okay. What is the question? This dropping identification and realizing the self, who does it? Listen to the question carefully. Who does it? Does the Jiva have to drop the identification and realize the self? Or does the self has to do all these things? Who has to do it? You please tell. Why? Because Jiva cannot drop the identification. How can you say Jiva cannot drop? Jiva is formed because of identification. Jiva is the effect. So it cannot drop. Oh, so that means self has to. No, self also doesn't have to drop. Why? For self there is no identification. What will it drop? Now, Vedji, now you are confusing me. What? So who has to drop? Who has to realize? That is the secret. What? The duality that we see between Jiva and self, saying that Jiva is something other than the self, and therefore you are asking this question, should the Jiva drop it or should the self drop it? Actually speaking, both these things are one and the same. No, but if it is one and the same, still you answer no, do Jiva or self? Jiva or self is not an option. Why? They both are same. If you think yourself to be the Jiva, you have to drop it. But if you realize you are the self, you don't need to drop it, you already have it. So this ignorance and then knowledge are two sides of the same coin and both are equally false. That's what he explains in the next verse. What? Even self-knowledge is part of Maya. Vijay? Yes. How do you say? Let us see what he says. Verse number 172. Sphure vishayi kalpanate avidya sphure brahmare jana maya suvidya muli kalpana do rupete chizali विवेके तरी स्वस्वरूपी मिळाली. जय जय रघुवीर समर्थ. He says, Sphure Vishayi Kalpana. Vishaya means world of objects. Vishayi Kalpana Sphure, when the thought manifests as the thought of object, te avidya, it is called as ignorance, avidya. Sphure Brahma, re jana maya suvidya. Re, oh my dear, if that same thought manifests Brahman, understand it to be suvidya, understand it to be knowledge. But Muli Kalpana do rupe techi zali. Both these kinds of thought, the thoughts of the world which are termed as ignorance and thought of Brahman which is termed as knowledge, both of them are result of the same Maya. Viveke tari swaswarupi mirali. Through discrimination, you can turn this Maya to merge in swaswarupa, in one's own self. Vedji, shall I tell you something very frankly? Yes, please tell. I like Samarth Ramdas Swami of before. This Samarth Ramdas Swami, what is he talking? Nice, earlier it was so nice. Prabhate, Mani Rama Chinti Tadava, in the morning you should remember Bhagavan and you should do satsanga. How nice. Now what is he talking? Now he is talking Vedanta. What is he saying? Many times people ask this question of what is the difference between Maya and Avidya. And some people also create that difference that Avidya is on the level of individual, Maya is on the level of total, which is fine. That distinction is not wrong. Because once you have created the distinction of individuality and totality, Jiva and Ishvara, then one who is troubled by world is called Jiva. So Avidya belongs to Jiva. Whereas one who uses this power and creates the world, that Ishvara, Maya belongs to that Ishvara. So one way of distinguishing this Avidya and Maya is Avidya is that which belongs to Jiva, which is with Jiva, which deludes the Jiva. And Maya is that which is associated with Ishvara, using which he creates the world. This understanding is fine, it is nothing wrong. But there is another kind of understanding also, where Vedanta will say that Maya is of two types. Vidya Maya and Avidya Maya. Vidya Maya and Avidya Maya. Avidya Maya creates veiling of ignorance and projection of the world. In other words, carefully see, two powers of Maya which are generally known, Avarana Shakti and Vikshepa Shakti. Have you heard of this before? Maya has these two powers. Very good. So when we refer to that saying that Maya has two powers of Avarana Shakti and Vikshepa Shakti, we are referring to Avidya Maya. Avidya Maya has two powers. First is called as Avarana Shakti, veiling. So it veils our true nature from ourselves. And second, Vikshepa Shakti, it projects something else as me. So I forget that I am the self and I think that I am the body. The body is me. So that forgetfulness of the self is Avarana and misunderstanding body to be the self is Vikshepa. These are the two powers of Avidya Maya. Alright. Now this Avidya Maya deludes an individual Jiva and keeps him in the samsara. How? Through the attraction, temptation of the world, through attachment with the world, through so many other factors. Now, to come out of it, you have to use Maya, but not Avidya Maya. You have to use Vidya Maya. What is that Vidya Maya? Vidya Maya is the knowledge of the self, which is opposite of Avidya. What was Avidya? We said Avidya has two aspects. One is Avarana, another is Vikshepa. That Vikshepa is caused by, the projection is caused by veiling. That veiling when removed, that is called as Vidya Maya. So Avidya Maya's Avarana Shakti veils the self. Avidya Maya's Vikshepa Shakti projects something else as the self. Now Vidya Maya's Shakti, which is called as Viveka Shakti, removes this Avarana. So actually speaking, Maya has three powers. Avarana Shakti, Vikshepa Shakti and Viveka Shakti. Avarana Shakti, Vikshepa Shakti and Viveka Shakti. Avarana Shakti, veiling power which veils the truth, the real nature of the self. Vikshepa Shakti, projecting power which projects something else as the self, which projects the entire world. And Viveka Shakti is the power of discrimination which will unveil the veiling of ignorance and make me realize my true nature. This is what, in other terms, is called as the three gunas. You must have heard this. Maya has three qualities: sattva, rajas and tamas. These three qualities of Maya manifest as three powers: Viveka Shakti, Vikshepa Shakti and Avarana Shakti respectively. So Sattva Maya in Sattvika nature is Viveka Shakti or Vidya Maya. Maya in Rajasika and Tamasic nature is Avidya Maya, where Rajasic nature is manifesting as Vikshepa Shakti and Tamasic nature is manifesting as Avarana Shakti. So tamas, darkness, veils the self. Rajas, activity, projects something else as the self. And sattva, purity, discrimination, will remove that veil. That is what each of these powers of Maya will do. Are you understanding? Are you following? That is why many places you must have heard this sentence also, that Maya only creates, Maya only destroys. In other words, ignorance is also because of Maya, knowledge is also because of Maya. Ignorance and self-knowledge both are two sides of same Maya. The only thing we have to do is, we have to go on the side of Vidya Maya, so that whatever Avidya Maya has created, the veiling as well as projection, will be taken out, will be destroyed. But mind you, the self-knowledge which will be destroying ignorance is still at the level of Maya. This is still a subtler point. Please pay attention and understand. Self is beyond ignorance and knowledge. Self is beyond ignorance and knowledge. And therefore, self has no opposition or no problem with ignorance. You can't ask this question, how can self be there and still there are people ignorant? Why? Because self is of the nature of consciousness, jnana swarupaha. Then when that jnana swarupa atma which is ever existing is there in all, how can still people be ignorant? That is because self is not opposed to ignorance. Knowledge of the self is opposed to ignorance. And knowledge of the self is Vidya Maya, still on the level of Maya. Example Shankaracharya has given in Atma Bodha. Sun is there. That sun is covered by clouds. And because clouds have covered the sun, we are not able to see the sun. Okay? You ask me question, why sun is not removing clouds? Why? Sun is of the nature of light. Because of these clouds, there is darkness. How can sun tolerate this? Sun has no opposition with clouds. As a matter of fact, sun doesn't even know there is something called as clouds. Clouds are not covering the sun. Clouds are covering our perception of the sun. Now, because clouds exist near us, not near the sun cannot remove the clouds. Clouds have to be removed by the wind, and then sun is seen clearly. In this example, sun is the self. Clouds are the ignorance, the Avidya Maya. And wind that removes the clouds is Vidya Maya. Both clouds and wind have to be on the same level. Then only the wind can remove the clouds. Please understand, if the wind is near sun, it will not be able to remove clouds. Clouds have to be removed by the wind, which are both on the same level. Avidya has to be removed by Vidya, both of which on the same level of Maya. Somehow we have started to think that Maya is bad. That is because we only pay attention to Avidya Maya. But mind you, in that same Maya, you will also have Ishvara, you will also have Guru, you will also have scriptures, and you can study, you can listen, you can reflect, you can meditate, and you can get rid of Avidya Maya. Vidya Maya is pure because it is Sattva Pradhana, and therefore Maya is not bad. It depends on which side of Maya you choose to be on. If you choose Avidya Maya, it will create problems. If you choose Vidya Maya, it will remove all the problems. But still, both are on the level of Maya. Are you getting the point? So when the question is asked, who gains liberation? Who gains the self-knowledge? The answer is very tricky. Why? You can't say self is realized. Self is always realized. It was never bound. You can't say self got self-knowledge. It is self. It doesn't need self-knowledge. At the same time, you can't say Jiva realized. Why? Because the moment Jiva realized this, Jiva doesn't remain. You can't even say Jiva got self-knowledge. Why? Because Jiva is product of ignorance. When self-knowledge comes, Jiva Bhava, Ahankara is gone. And that's why the mystery remains, who gets liberated. You understand why the question remains? Don't ask me next time, Veji, but what is the final answer? There is no final answer. That's the whole point. Somebody may actually get liberated if somebody is actually bound. If nobody is bound, who will be liberated? Think little bit further. We said that the sun is covered by clouds. Go still further. Can the clouds actually cover the sun? They cannot. Go still deeper. How are you seeing the clouds? You are saying that sun is covered by clouds. How do you see clouds? In the light of same sun. So both Avidya and Vidya are seen in the light of same consciousness. That consciousness is never bound. So there is no question of it being free. What happens is, Jiva thinks that I am bound because of Avidya Maya. So now because it starts to think that it is bound, it has to be given another thought that now you are liberated. That is done by Vidya Maya. So when Avidya Maya is creating problems, Vidya Maya comes and removes the problem. But Vedji, after that what happens? Nothing happens. Self is already there, which is ever established in its own liberation. There is no need of it to get liberated. Nothing happens after that. The self shines by itself. That's what happens. Okay? This is the, what do you say, crux of Vedanta. This is the main thing of Vedanta, which Samarth Ramdas Swami is explaining here. Now, in the next verse, he will explain how Avidya Maya covers. And in the next to next verse, he will explain how Vidya Maya uncovers. See, very methodical. He has explained both. Spure Vishayi Kalpanate Avidya. Spure Brahmare Dana Maya Suvidya. He has explained what is Avidya Maya, what is Vidya Maya. Avidya Maya will give you thoughts of the world. Vidya Maya will give thoughts of the Brahman. Both are thoughts and therefore both are not Brahman. One kind of thought will oppose another kind of thought. Jiva Bhava, Ahankara is opposed by Brahmachara Vritti and they will fight with each other. Brahmachara Vritti will remove Avidya, ignorance. How that Avidya covers and how that Vidya uncovers, next two verses. Let us see one by one. Verse number 173. Swarupi Udela Ahankara Raho Tene Sarvachadile Vyomapaho Disha Pahatate Nisha Vadhatahe Viveke Vichare Vivanchu Nipahe Jai Jai Raghuvir Samartha. Beautiful. He gives one example here. Okay, Rahu example. So let me tell you a short story of how this Rahu, what this concept comes. We all have heard of story in Puranas of Amrita Manthana, Samudra Manthana, from which Amrita came out. Have you all heard this story? Yes. We may not know all the details, but we know the general structure of the story. Right? Devatas and Asuras both did that Samudra Manthana and different things came out and finally came out Amrita, for which they had done all these things. Amrita is elixir, nectar, which will make anybody immortal. Now, it was very clear that only Devatas should become immortal and not Asuras, because Asuras will use that immortality to trouble people. Devatas will use immortality to help people. Asuras will use that immortality to trouble people. So, Bhagavan Shri Mahavishnu came as Mohini and he started to give this Amrita to everyone. So, he made two groups. Devatas sat on one side and Asuras sat on another side. And when he was giving, he used to give Amrita to the Devatas, and when he will go on the side of Asuras, he will give liquor, telling that this is Amrita. Okay, so he was doing this. When he was doing this, one Asura observed that there is something wrong, and he went and sat on the side of Devatas. And Mohini gave Amrita to that Asura also. But the moment that Asura drank, two Devatas sitting on two sides of this Asura pointed out to Bhagavan Vishnu, Mohini Rupa, saying that this is not Devata, this is Asura. So immediately, Bhagavan, using his Sudarshan Chakra, cut his head. That Asura's head was cut. But because Amrita has fallen inside, that Asura could not die. So that Asura was split into two. One where only head is there is called as Rahu, and another only body is there which is called as Ketu. So thus in Navagraha also we have Rahu and Ketu. Okay. Now the two Devatas who were sitting on both sides of these Asuras were Surya and Chandra. Surya Devata and Chandra Devata. So this Rahu got this anger, saying that because of these two people, I was cut into two pieces. So time and again he goes and swallows both of them. Rahu is only head. So when he swallows the sun comes down from the bottom because there is nothing. Swallowing would have worked if there was body under, no? Only head is there, so he goes from mouth and comes back from kantha. He comes back from throat, comes out. And same way Rahu also goes to eat Chandra also, and Chandra also is eaten and then comes out. This is the concept, or this is the story that is used to explain solar and lunar eclipse. So in Puranas they will say, what is solar eclipse? That Rahu has eaten the sun. Please do not think that our ancestors didn't know that earth comes in between moon and the sun, and therefore moon gets the eclipse, or moon comes in between earth and the sun, therefore sun gets the eclipse. Don't think that they didn't know. They knew all these things, but to explain a scientific concept which may be difficult for people, they used to explain it through story. So that story of Rahu eating sun and moon for eclipse is used here to explain a Vedantic concept. Now you think, already the story is used to explain a scientific concept of eclipse. Now further the same concept is used to explain Vedanta. What is that? Swarupi Udela Ahankara Rahu. This Rahu, compare this Rahu with Ahankara. From where does he originate? Swarupi Udela, it originates from the sun only. It originates from the self only. Tene Sarva Achadile Vyomapaho. And what does it do? It covers the entire sun. Ahankara covers the entire self. Disha Pahata Te Nisha Vadata Hai. You look in any direction, Disha Pahata, you look in any direction, Nisha Vadata Hai. Only darkness is there. Now what? Viveke vichare vivanchuni pahe. You inquire, you discriminate and separate these two things. Sun will look dark because Rahu has covered it. Where is that Rahu coming from? Rahu is coming from the same sun. Very interesting concept. We often say solar eclipse. Means what? Sun is eclipsed. But please answer me, in whose light are you seeing that eclipse? Are you putting halogens from the earth to see the eclipse? No. So even though we say sun is eclipsed, fully it is not eclipsed. Only that round portion is eclipsed. Still the light that is coming off the sun only, because of which we are able to see that eclipse. So the Ahankara, which is born from the self, so to say, covers the self, so to say. And when it covers the self, in whichever direction you see only darkness. You see only ignorance. So this Ahankara covering the sun is called as Avarana Shakti. And you seeing any other direction and still seeing only ignorance is Vikshepa Shakti. The world appears. Now what Samarth Ramdas Swami says in the last line, Viveke Vichare Vivanchuni Pava. Now use the third Shakti, that is Viveka Shakti, to understand and to discriminate this Rahu from the Surya, this Ahankara from the Atma. That is the point. Okay, are you getting how these things are explained? What does Avarana Shakti do? Avarana Shakti covers the self. Not actually covers the self, covers our vision of the self. I am not able to see the self. I am not able to understand what is my true nature. Immediately when the Avarana Shakti has covered, Vikshepa Shakti, immediately what does it do? It shows something else as the self. What is that? That is body, mind, intellect. Then I start working in the world. So Avarana Shakti and Vikshepa Shakti, together called as Avidya Maya, is cause of bondage. Now if I want to get rid of this, what I need to use? I need to use the third power of Maya, that is Viveka Shakti. And discriminate and understand that I am not the body, not the mind, not the intellect. By saying I am not the body, not the mind, not the intellect, what am I doing? I am overpowering Vikshepa Shakti. And then I say I am that pure consciousness. I am overpowering the Avarana Shakti, veiling power also. So in Viveka Shakti, by separating out the two, I am nullifying both other powers of Maya, Vikshepa Shakti also and Avarana Shakti also. Are you getting it? Vedanta is the only science which says that it is not ultimately true. Vedji, Vedanta is not true. No, Vedanta is true. As long as we are on the level of Maya, it is the ultimate truth. But not the ultimate truth. Why? Because the ultimate truth is beyond Vedanta also. Why? Because Vedanta helps us to create Vidya Maya. Vidya Maya's job is to destroy Avidya Maya. Both are still on the level of Maya. Clear, clear, clear. When Vidya Maya has removed Avidya Maya, its job is over. It doesn't have to stay to again illumine the self. Why? Self is self-luminous. Its only job is to remove Avidya Maya. In Atmabodha, I was giving you example from Meghapayam Shumaniva. Ajnana kalusham jivam jnanabhyasad vinirmalam kritva jnanam swayam nashet jalam kataka renuvata. The very next verse of Atmabodha, Shankaracharya explains this point further, saying that the only job wind has to do is to remove the clouds. Once wind has removed the clouds, the sun will shine by itself. Wind doesn't have to illumine the sun. The moment self-knowledge removes ignorance, its job is over. It doesn't have to illumine the self. Why? Self is self-luminous. So what does it do? It will go itself. Having destroyed the ignorance, self-knowledge gets destroyed on its own. Kritva jnanam swayam nashet. Jnanam ajnana vinasham kritva. Knowledge after removing ignorance, swayam nashet, gets destroyed itself. Like what? Jalam kataka renuvat. Example is given that in the impure water, to make it pure, we use alum powder. This alum powder, what it will do is, it will collect all the dirt particles from the water and will go down and settle. Imagine if that alum powder removes the dirt, but it remains. Then it will be called as dirt. So what does it do? It removes all the other dirt and it itself also goes away. In the same way, self-knowledge removes the ignorance and it itself also goes away. Why? Because then the self shines by itself. It does not need self-knowledge to be there. The only job of self-knowledge is to remove ignorance. This is what is explained in the next verse, where he explains the power of Vidya Maya. Let us see. Verse 174. Beautiful verse. Nice words also used. Jaya chakshune lakshita lakshavena bhava bhakshita rakshita rakshavena kshayati tato akshayi mokshadeto daya dakshato sakshine pakshagheto. Jai Jai Raghuveer Samartha. Count how many times ksha has come in this. Jaya chakshune lakshita lakshavena. What is he saying? Jaya, that which is chakshune lakshita. If you try to see through physical eyes, lakshavena, it is not seen. It is not seen through physical eyes. Now what is this physical eye representative of? Physical eye here is representative of ignorance. If you try to see it through the lens of ignorance, you will not be able to see the self. Bhava bhakshita. But when knowledge arises, what does that knowledge do? Knowledge eats up all bhava. Bhava means samsara. Bhava bhakshita. When that samsara is eaten by that jnana chakshu, rakshita rakshavena, then that samsara, even if you try to protect, you cannot protect it. Through the lens of ignorance, you can't see Brahman. Through the lens of knowledge, you can't see world. Why? The moment knowledge of the self has seen, world disappears. What remains is only self. So he's trying to show, through the ignorance lens, you will only see the world. You can't see Brahman. Through the lens of knowledge, you can only see Brahman, not the world. You understand? You understand this point? This is what is represented in Bhagavad Gita when Bhagavan Shri Krishna shows Arjuna his Vishwaroopa and says, Pashyame Rupameshwaram. See Arjuna, see my great form. And Arjuna starts to wonder where. I can't see anything. And then he says, oh, with these eyes you will not be able to see. Divyam dadami te chakshu. Let me give you special eyes. What is that special eye? That eye is eye of knowledge. When Arjuna gets that eye of knowledge, in the same place where he saw Sarathi Krishna, in the same place where he saw the charioteer Krishna, in the same place he sees Vishwaroopa of Shri Krishna. The eye of knowledge will nullify the world and will show only Brahman. The eye of ignorance will nullify Brahman and will only show world. If any one of you have seen Matrix movie, Matrix first part, okay, English movie. Matrix is Maya, basically. It's a Vedantic movie. When you see, you will understand that everybody is captured by Maya and they are living in the imaginary world. Actually, their bodies are kept somewhere for charging and power is used, etc., etc. You will see one rare person decides to escape this Maya. Why? Because there are all the good qualities and Guru and all of them are there who are helping this one Jiva who is caught up in Maya to come out of Maya and call that person as the chosen one. The one. Okay? And then when he escapes, when he realizes that everything is just Maya, his vision changes. He no more sees people. He starts seeing that matrix, that green color lines. Anything that comes to him, people and poles and gun and bullet, everything he sees as only the green color matrix. The vision of Jnani is that by which the entire world is gone. Hey, where gone? Gone means he understands that it was never there. It was only appearing to be there. But the moment you see the truth, world will disappear. As long as you have not seen the truth, only world will appear. Truth will not be seen. You know, nowadays, not nowadays, even some time back also, you get that 3D pictures. You know, they will have same design will be there. And then you keep looking, and then suddenly another thing comes out. I remember in my childhood one such thing was there was dinosaur. And then nowadays Om and Bhagavan Shri Krishna and all these things are also there. Other people don't understand what are you seeing. Why? They only see that design. And interesting thing is, as long as you have not seen that 3D picture emerging, you will only see the design. But once you have seen that 3D image, even if you try to see something else, you will not be able to see anything else. You will only see that design. In the same way, Brahman, our true nature, is veiled by ignorance. Because it is veiled by ignorance, we will only see what the veiling has to show, what the Maya wants to show us. But when using Viveka Shakti, I will unveil that. No more the veiling can be seen, no more the effects of veiling can be seen. The world will disappear. And that's why he says here, if you try to see the self using the ignorance, using the physical eyes, you will not be able to see. Once you get the eye of knowledge, you will be able to see Brahman, but world will not remain then. Bhava bhakshita rakshita rakshavena. Then what? Kshayati tato akshayi moksha deto. Then what will happen? You will go beyond Kshaya. Kshaya means perishing. Beyond Kshaya, you will become imperishable. And that imperishable Brahman will give you imperishable liberation. Akshayi Moksha. What do you mean by imperishable liberation? You will never ever become deluded again. Once you come out of this delusion, once you realize that self, that realization is permanent. Are you understanding? That is what will happen. But Vedji, when Jiva is getting into this kind of ignorance and going behind the temptation projection of Maya and running behind it, not understanding that it is none of these, what is Brahman doing? Brahman is doing nothing. Daya dakshato sakshine pakshagheto. He is sakshi. He is witness. But as Ishvara, he is full of compassion, daya. And therefore, pakshagheto, he takes your side. He takes your side means what? If you decide to take the side of Vidya Maya, he will help you in coming out of Avidya Maya. Otherwise, he is witness consciousness. But as Ishvara, the moment any seeker starts to seek that supreme reality, the entire path is made beautiful by Ishvara. Ishvara supports such a seeker every single step. Anybody who decides to come out of this ignorance, anybody who decides to come out of this Maya, Ishvara's grace will always be there. I tell you, I can go on talking about each verse for hours together. You see how beautifully Samarth Ramdas Swami is not just explaining concepts, but so many concepts are hidden in that. He is also explaining Avidya Maya and Vidya Maya. He is also explaining how the vision of ignorance will keep you bound. Vision of knowledge will take you beyond. He explains everything. He also explains what is the role of Ishvara, what is the role of Bhagavan, what is the role of Brahman. Brahman remains as witness, but as Ishvara, he helps you, guides you, sends Guru to you, and will make sure that your Avidya Maya is destroyed. That is what he does. So, what is the main point in this section? Main point is use your Viveka Shakti. Satsanga leads to Viveka. This is the Viveka Shakti. What is the Viveka Shakti? That I must come out of this Avidya Maya. Choosing the side of Vidya Maya is Viveka Shakti. Why? Viveka Shakti is on the side of Vidya Maya. So use your Viveka, use your discrimination to not go in the world away from the self, but to go towards the self away from the world. And that doesn't mean you have to run away from the world. No. Staying in the world, you can remain away from the world. Start seeing the truth. Come out of this attachment. Come out of this projection. Come out of this veiling. Use your Viveka Shakti. Then what will happen? That Viveka Shakti will lead you to Atmadhyana. That Atmadhyana will destroy Ajnana, ignorance, Avidya, and the self will shine by itself. Realization will happen automatically. Why? Because realization has already happened. Now only you have thought that you are bound, now you will understand that you are liberated. This Supreme Self is beyond everything. That is the topic that he takes next. In next 5 verses, we will only see one verse, very simple verse. Remaining we will see next session. Verse 175. Vidhi nirmita lihito sarvabhali parilihita konatyache kapali haru jalito loka samhara kali parishevati Shankara konazali. Jai Jai Raghuveer Samartha. He says, Vidhi. Vidhi is Brahmaji. Brahmaji is the creator, is the creator of destiny. Vidhi means destiny. That Brahmaji, Nirmita, one who is the creator, Lihito Sarva Bhali. Bhala means forehead. It is said that Brahmaji writes your entire destiny on your forehead and sends you in the world. That's a manner of saying. Okay, we ourselves write our own destiny, but it is said that the Brahmaji writes your destiny and sends into the world. Now the question Samarth Ramdas Swami asks is, Parilihita kona tyache kapali? But who is writing on the forehead of Brahmaji? Brahmaji as the creator is writing on everybody's forehead and sending into the world. Means Brahmaji has created the world. Agreed. Who has created Brahmaji? Haru means Hara means Shiva, Lord Shivji. Jalito loka samhara kali. He burns all the worlds and he burns everybody, samhara kali, at the time of dissolution. Pari Shevati, but at the end, Shankara kona jali. Who is burning Shankara? One who is creating everything, who creates him? And one who is destroying everything, who destroys him? If you want to know who destroys, we will see it in the next class. Why? Samarth Ramdas Swami has not given answer. How can I give answer? He has just raised two questions. The creator Brahmaji, who creates everyone, he creates every world and sends people by writing their destiny on the forehead into the world. Who writes his destiny? Who is Brahmaji's creator? And if Lord Shiva destroys everybody by burning everyone, who destroys Lord Shiva? Who burns Lord Shiva? That is the question he has raised. Answers we will see in the next class. All right. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.